Hey everybody, it is me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap. Look how white my teeth are. Look, God, they look gorgeous. I've got a dentist appointment on Monday. Totally not looking forward to it. It's the first, I'm getting a crown, so that's annoying. Anyways. Alright, so Days of Our Lives. So anyways, let me introduce myself. I already said my name is Angel Benton, and the reason why I'm here is because it's time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we I'm sorry, I was just blinded by my teeth. I couldn't really pay attention because they're white. Wow, I love it. Okay, go Crest. Okay, so all right. Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and we do a few reality shows on the side. And one of the daytime TV shows that we're doing is Days of Our Lives. And the Day of Days is this Saturday. I'm so excited. You have no idea. Like, I'm slowly starting to get more and more excited. So, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, here's the thing. I fucking love Susan Banks, and I wanted to do this last week because I knew she was coming on, but I didn't want to say anything. So I now that she's been on, I've got to say, I fucking love Susan Banks. And her scene, so for those that don't know, Susan is one of the many characters on Days of Our Lives played by Eileen Davidson, who last played Kristen. And she's currently Ashley Abbott on Young and the Restless. But both soaps, Young and the Restless and Days, are both owned by Sony, so it's no problem for her to go back and forth between the two shows. It's fine. And Susan was my absolute favorite character. So when she came back last time as Kristen, I was a little bit disappointed. Now, we did get one quick little one-day appearance from Susan, you know, where she was convinced something was going to happen to EJ, and, you know, vampires were going to get him. Like, I don't know, I remember that. And she was funny then, but I mean, now she is the old Susan, right? She was the crazy Susan who talked to her doll, Lisa Marie, and thought she was like, I mean, that was the best. I mean, that was the greatest back then, was when Susan was like, Lisa Marie, you don't need to cry now, you sweet little baby. And it was like a doll, and it wasn't making any noise or anything. And you're like, okay, this woman has lost it. But that was great. It was so wonderful. So, anywho, she came back as Kristen, and it was Kristen DiMera, and I was a little disappointed. But then, you know, despite the one-day appearance by Susan, but now it's very Susan focused, because Kristen could be dead somewhere. We don't know. We think she's dead. But we know she's not. I mean, obviously, with Stefano gone, we don't know. And don't get me started on that whole thing. The whole thing with Stefano, that just, I mean, it still pisses me off, actually, how that was written, because why would they do that? Like, it just sullied not the reputation, but it just sullied the memory of a great actor. I was really irritated by that. Okay, anyways. Okay, so this now, you know, Sammy's on the hunt for Will. So it leads them to Memphis. Now, I knew they were going to Memphis, and I don't know why I didn't put two and two together. Because, I mean, like, of course it would be Susan in Memphis. Because Susan is obsessed with Elvis Presley. And back when she was pretending to be Kristen 20 years ago, she had that fake wedding to John Black. And it is my second favorite. So, okay, wait, let's talk about this real quick. So, on the Twitter, the official Twitter for the show, NBC Days, they asked what your favorite moments were from Salem over the past billion years, or however long the show's, 52 years, actually. Yesterday was the 52nd anniversary. So, in 52 years, what have been your favorite storylines? So, I let them know. That is the air just turned on. It's a little bit hot this afternoon, so I turned on the air, so I apologize for that. But you're like, what's going on? Is there a ghost? No, it's not a ghost. It's just, see, there's the air. The air came on. Okay, so Okay, so here's the thing. Here are my moments that I selected. Okay, I picked first and foremost. This is my number one, and that is when Sammy dressed up as a man and called herself Stan to get revenge on her enemy. I mean, like, it was the craziest. It was the absolute craziest thing I have ever seen in my life, and I loved it. I was all about it. I mean, I was in because it wasn't Sammy, Allison Sweeney playing Sammy. It was some man, some guy playing Stan, and it was great. I mean, because it was Sammy in makeup. I mean, it was fantastic. It was, and I am so surprised that no other show has done that because it was so great. It was great, right? I loved it. Okay, that was my number one. Number two was Susan as Kristen's wedding to John. It was this tacky Elvis extravaganza, but it was very campy, very over the top. I mean, because that's where Susan was exposed for being Susan, and because she used to wear these fake teeth to look like Kristen, and her teeth flew out into the wedding punch. I mean, oh my God, it was, I mean, like, I almost wet myself. I was laughing so hard. It was hysterical. I loved it. Now, the third moment that I selected was, this will be a little bit more of a head scratcher. So, way back in the day, Victor wasn't on the show for a while, and a lot of people were upset about that, including me. I was one of the people that was like, bring Victor back, because Victor is awesome. My bangs, I just can't, ugh. Okay, so they brought him back. They listened to the fans, and they brought him back. And the way they brought him back was, because Kate, who was his wife at the time, had him, not committed, but, put away in a old age home, right, and drugged up. And Vivian found out, and Vivian always had a torch for Victor, so she came back to get him. And she dressed up as a Chinese person, which, if they did that today, I don't think they could do that today, because that would be very offensive. But back then it wasn't that offensive, I guess. But she had on, like, makeup, and, like, she actually, like, she was supposed to be half Asian. She was supposed to be half. Like Paul. Paul is half Asian in real life. So she was supposed to look similar to Paul, right? And she just was not getting it. And, like, she had to use chopsticks. She didn't know how to use them, so she started skewering her food with it and saying that that's how they do it in Hong Kong. I was dying. I mean, that was my third favorite. That was dead. I was just dead. Okay, my fourth would be Meliswin. That's when they rebuilt Salem on this random island in the Caribbean, and they had the Salem stalker, who was Marlena, or actually I think it ended up being Hattie. I'm not quite sure how that happened or how that ended up. But all these people they thought were dead were actually on Meliswin, which was this crazy island. And that's actually, that storyline actually has seeds in what's happening today with the whole Bonnie Lockhart thing. Because when Maggie was killed and taken to Meliswin, which is where she really was, she wasn't actually dead, Mickey moved on with his life with Bonnie, and then she just showed up and was back and just took her life back, and Bonnie was pissed. And that's why I felt bad for Bonnie, because that wasn't Bonnie's fault, right? It's kind of like the whole thing with Will and Paul and Sonny. Right now, Sonny and Paul are looking for Will, but if Will is alive, then poor Paul is just asked out, right? Paul is the Bonnie Lockhart. Maybe Paul and Bonnie Lockhart will team up and, like, really scheme to get some... Oh, God, that would be great. I'm going to ask about that at the Day of Days. I'm going to ask about that on Sunday. So, Meliswin, I love that. The next one was because I did 6. The fifth one was the Gemini twins. And if you don't remember, that's Rex and Cassie, who ended up being, and this is so hard to follow, their origin story is a little convoluted, but Rex and Cassie, they were spotted wearing, like, they were like feral children, and they had these, like, this aluminum foil outfits, and they ended up learning English by television. So and Belle and they didn't know that they were biological children of Roman and Kate. They didn't know that. They ended up being adopted by Marlena and Stefano. So that's the whole thing is just a little bit weird, right? But it was so ridiculous. It was pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed that storyline actually a lot. Okay, and then the last one I picked was way back in the day, was Marlena Evans and her twin sister Samantha. Not Hattie, but Samantha. And Samantha was played by Deidre Hall's real life twin, Andrea Hall. Now she's Andrea Hall Gengler, but they were great, right? And so Marlena was murdered by the Salem Strangler, who ended up being Jake Kosacek, and everyone was pissed. People no, I'm not even kidding. You don't understand the amount of hysteria that was surrounding the soaps back then, because that was back when soaps were huge. They were huge. Like, if you were a soap star, you were as big as a movie star. I'm not even kidding. That was back in the Luke and Laura days, right? So people showed up to NBC with picket signs, picketing for them to bring Marlena back. That is hardcore. Now, you might see some people, I mean, especially with the ships, which, don't get me started on those, it's so stupid, but with those relationships, and people are always constantly doing, online campaigns for them, but no one cares, right? Let's see when you show up to NBC Studios with a picket sign, because that is ridiculous and crazy, and I love it, right? So anyways, it was all about her twin sister, and it ended up being Samantha that was killed by Jake Kosacek. It actually wasn't Marlena. So unfortunately, we didn't see Samantha until they brought on, or Andrea Hall, until they brought on Hattie onto the show, and then they even swapped her out for Deidre Hall back when they made Hattie look like Marlena. So anyways, but those were the 6 that I picked because those are my favorite moments on Days of Our Lives. I'm so looking forward to the Day of Days. It's going to be so much fun. And Susan is back, and she is hilarious. Her dialogue is great. I mean, they really, she's fantastic. So, I mean, kudos to you, Eileen Davidson, because you have gotten it. You really have. I look like I'm wearing white eyeliner. I'm really not, though. I'm not wearing any makeup at all. And it looks like I'm, not eyeliner, eyeshadow. It looks like I'm wearing white eyeshadow or something. It just looks like my eyes are a lot lighter in this area. It's kind of crazy. Maybe it's just my teeth reflecting off them. Okay, anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at Angel Benton. You can hashtag days to talk Days of Our Lives. Please do. Let's talk days, right? You can also hashtag YR to talk Young and the Restless. I'll be doing that next. And you can hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel to get my YouTube videos sent to your email inbox every single day. All right, everyone, thank you so much for logging on today. Have a wonderful day. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.